in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
That is right, everybody. This is the Angry Chicken. This is episode number 220. I'm Willie Dills. There is no Garrett Weinzerl today. So me and the one and the only Jocelyn Moffat are going to have to take you guys through all of the new cards that that have suddenly been released. It was weird. They gave us one, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch more for some unknown reason. But we got that. We got a few other things to talk about. And then we're going to take a lot of emails today to try to fill in the time. But actually now, I don't think we're going to have to worry about the time. So how you doing,
Yeah,
Jocelyn?
I might actually have to edit down some of the emails because we were really, really worried yesterday. And we'll talk about it a little bit more later on. But we were really worried we weren't going to have anything to talk about because there was literally like, it's July 24th. All the cards are coming. Here's one card.
yeah, it really felt like they just screwed up and they just weren't going to give us that many cards. And then another card came out at like midnight. Then I think there was even another one at like 2 a.m. I started getting a bunch of tweets and stuff. And then and today we got a few more. So I think we have like 6 or 7, which is that's a good number on day one of the card reveals. So that's pretty exciting. And other than that, how's Hearthstone going? You playing a lot this week? I have not, but.
So yeah, I just got back from vacation and man, I missed you guys so much. And
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have like crazy internet or anything. Like I was up at the cottage. We have enough electricity to like run a light and the fridge and that's it.
Perfect.
I was kind of had a whole unplugged week, which was great. And then I tried to like open Hearthstone on my phone and like use my like 1 bar of 3G to try to play. Didn't work. So the only kind of playtime I've had has been just kind of yesterday. And dude, I know you love Arena, but I am so bad at Arena, and Arena makes me feel bad.
That's unfortunate. I wish you guys liked it because it feels weird when I'm the only one who wants to talk about it on the show. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole big chunk of this game, and I don't know why it just doesn't appeal to. This is the time to play it, by the way. You get a free win every run, and you also get 1 free run a week. So,
exactly. So I was like, this is perfect. Like their marketing strategy is working 100% because I am not an Arena player. And the first thing I did after not playing Hearthstone for a week was go in and try Arena. I'm just so bad, dude. I went with a free win 2 and 3.
That's okay. Look, you can't give up after 1 run. All right. You know what? We're already talking about it. Why don't we get into the news?
Good news, everyone.
All right, so that we're talking about the Frost Festival. If anybody is confused right now, Frost Festival gets us one free arena run a week for 3 weeks, and also during the entire time, you get a free win on every arena run, not just your free ones. So
exactly,
you can't go worse than 1 and 3.
But you can try. You can go 2 and 3 like me.
So I've been playing a lot. I was like, I was ranked 5 pretty quick, and then I started messing around with some decks, and so I stalled a little bit. Then this happened, and we didn't know this was going to happen. So like I didn't know this was going to be the date it was released. We'd actually even talked about like, will this coincide with the actual release of Pros and Thrones, where it happens as we're doing the PvE content, right? Mm-hmm. But no, it's leading into it.
Yeah, it's a 3-week long event, so we're already 6 days into it, I guess. So we're basically 1 week into it. So I think probably the Frost Festival is going to end right when Frozen Throne is coming out, because it's going to end like early mid-August.
Yeah, so it looks like the 10th or whatever is going to be pretty much correct. But yeah, so it just kind of came out of nowhere. But I then immediately abandoned all like trying to get Legend this season, because it was just, well, if this is going to be happening and I'm an Infinite Arena player, I should just be playing Arena during this time to maximize all of my runs, right?
Yeah.
So on my other accounts, on I have my Asian account and I have my EU account. Those accounts, this is the perfect time to just earn a bunch of packs, right? So I'm just going to do nothing like that. If you're tuned into my stream, pretty much until the new expansion comes out, you're going to be watching me play Arena, and it's been going okay. They also did all those changes, which you weren't on the show when we talked about all the recent changes, right? But
Right.
they added the spell bonus to weapons, and then they started actually doing their incremental increases and decreases to specific cards to try to actually balance the classes. So it is an interesting time in Arena because everything you thought you knew might not be the case anymore. Like Mage isn't definitely the best anymore. It might be Paladin, it might be Rogue.
I picked Rogue just, for something new to try because I never pick Rogue, and I had a Rogue or Druid win quest. So I was like, you know what? I'll try Rogue. And man, I did so bad, and I faced all Paladins, and they were just like, flood the board. And I was like,
oh, you're supposed to destroy
concede.
Paladin with Rogue. Really? You weren't able to do it, huh? Well, it depends. But yeah, I had a Paladin run where I finished at like 9-3, all 3 losses to Rogues. Because basically they have the innate advantage of their hero power equals 2 of my hero power, right? So they just have more efficiency as far as dealing with my board. But Rogues right now are just the king of just kill your stuff. They can't kill a board full of stuff. So if they were flooding on you, that makes sense. But any big minion you play, they're like, oh yeah, no, I kill it and I play a 3/4. I make my weapon poisonous. I do that.
I had 1 Vile Spine and I think 1 Backstab.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's not the typical Rogue deck I'm running into.
Maybe I just had a really bad draft. That could have been it too. But it was like I felt like everything I was looking at when I was given my suggestion or like my 3 options for cards, I was like, okay, that's bad, and that's really bad.
You have to those are interesting choices, and I think they do make a big difference. But you still have to get a decent amount of really good cards to actually have success. So
yeah. So maybe I just had a really bad draft. Maybe I just need to, going forward these next 2 weeks, just keep trying and hopefully get a good draft. But
I think what you should do too, just play like 1 extra run on just some gold just for the hell of it, because you're still getting a card pack, right?
Yeah.
So you're still going to get your value for your 100 gold that you would just spend on a pack when the expansion comes out. But since you're getting the free win, you're getting it's almost impossible not to get 50 gold worth of value, even at just 1 free win. I had a run last night. I went 2 and 3. It was a terrible deck. So I went technically 1 and 3. I got 50 gold in a pack. I was like, I literally just paid 100 gold for a pack. Yeah. So
I think I got 40 dust in a pack in my
that's
2 and 3 run.
40 dust is definitely worth 50 gold technically, because an average pack or whatever is 35, right? So so I suggest anybody out there just get into it, even if it's something that you feel a little weird about. The other thing about it though too is there's a lot of people playing Arena right now who aren't normal Arena players, so the field is a little more fair to newer players, right? You're not just towards the end of an expansion, oftentimes it's much tougher in Arena because only the people who just love Arena are still playing Arena, right? Everybody else who was playing it early on in the expansion to earn cards has moved on. So usually later in an expansion, that's a worse time to try to learn Arena. This has flipped that completely. So I think it is actually the best time if you're trying to learn, and you're just somebody who's a little intimidated by Arena. There's a lot of new players in there right now, so you're on even footing. You can get in there. The other thing that's going on is the Ahun's Superior Brawl.
Yes.
What did you think about this?
He really has it out for Ragnaros. So again, I didn't get to try it because I was away.
Oh, you didn't play it at all?
No, I couldn't.
So it wasn't that cool. It was it was not that fun.
You basically just had to, so you got either Uther or Jaina in a pre-built deck, right?
And Uther was
right
way better than Jaina. Just so much better. This is the problem that I've had with so many of these brawls where there's just 2 choices. They're never quite balanced, right? So you just queue until you hope you get the one that wins all the time. But yeah, it's weird. You're both immune. You can't heal. You can't gain armor. And it's all about just killing these little 1/4s that respawn every time they die. How fun does that
he
sound?
he basically just wants you to kill Ragnaros as many times as possible, right?
Mm-hmm. They're little tiny
It's
Ragnaros.
like a little,
yeah,
they're little
Ragnarise.
training dummy
Mhm.
Ragnaroses.
So it was whatever. I mean, whatever. It was weird. The other thing too is why did it deal 4 damage when you have 30 health? Wouldn't 3 damage make sense? And then you just have to kill 10 of them.
10 times.
I don't know. Whatever, man. I played it for my free pack on every. It was really easy to get your free pack at least. But then I was watching the Omni Slash show. And they do their whose meme reigns supreme at the end of the show. And they just played the Tavern Brawl, and it was the worst version of that. It was so bad. I was like, come on, guys. If you're going to do the Tavern Brawl, you got to pick a better one than this. So it was, even trying to make it fun with like a Firebat versus Frodan match, it still wasn't fun. So, yeah, swing and a miss on that one. But this will be going on, for the next 2 weeks. And that pretty much means that we're going to get Frozen Throne the week after that. So I like the countdown aspect of it.
Yeah, me too. And although we should say it's not an official countdown, we still don't have an official release date, but it looks like 2 weeks from now we'll have the expansion. But I like the countdown thing too. I like doing something because we just had the Fire Festival, right? So we had the Fire Festival that rolled into the Frost Festival. They had these little bonuses for going in and playing the game, which is something we've been asking for. So, I mean, we had one festival going into another one that kind of created a little bit of excitement at the end of an expansion, which I think was perfect. And XR confirmed that there's going to be more events in the future. So,
okay, that's cool. Speaking of things that are not confirmed yet totally confirmed, Ben Brode is definitely going to be rapping, right?
Oh, totally. Definitely.
Right.
I mean, what else could his chair and the caption Arthas mean?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the original AMA picture was that like his rap pose, right? So hands towards the cam. Definitely suggesting that he was born to be a rapper, a rap god. Yep. But yeah, then he posted just this cryptic tweet. An empty chair, clearly suggesting he's going to make another video, and then just Arthas. So we're going to see a big Arthas rap.
Yep.
I'm down.
On July 31st. Yeah. So 6 days from now, just under a week, we're going to see though, epic again.
It is that rap better be paired with the Arthas card reveal. Or else huge missed opportunity, right?
It probably will be.
I hope
the
so.
only thing, so when he did the Angoro rap, it was because there was no song and Reddit called for it. And within 24 hours, he put out this super awesome written by Ben rap, right? Now I'm a little bit worried that this is going to be written by committee or something.
Well, there's also, of course, there's the sophomore slump you got to worry about. It's tough to put out your, lots of artists put out that second album and it kind of sucks. So
yeah, so I'm a little worried.
Hopefully, Ben Brode can evade the sophomore slump. Also, I do want to talk briefly, and I don't have a whole bunch of information on this, but on our competitive Hearthstone, this isn't actually in the news, but in our competitive Hearthstone, there was a post about the changes that we saw at the latest Dream Hack in the tournament meta, because that was our first tournament since Caverns Below was nerfed.
Right.
So a couple of things that are kind of interesting. Everybody, it's basically one of the top. It's the top article if you want to pull it up. I'll post the link into the notes real quick. But just looking at the overall statistics, I think the interesting thing about it was that we all expected Control to make a big comeback based on this change, right? But basically what ended up happening was Pirate Warrior got much stronger to combat all of the new Control decks that people were bringing of other archetypes, right? So people were playing a lot of the Quest Warrior, and basically everybody switched to Pirate Warrior. So we saw, I think it was 16 out of 16 people, or 10 out of the 16, all of them were pirates in the top 16 of the tournament. So really interesting stuff. And then there's a bunch of in this post, they were nice enough. Who is this? It's Old Guardian was nice enough to post a bunch of deck lists and everything. He got a whole article in there. So there were some interesting things. There was also Noblord had a Jade Elemental token shaman that was not quite like what I was doing. He was still running double Bloodlust, he just kind of took out Doppelgangster Evolve, and then went with like this elemental package that flooded the board, and then went ham with Bloodlust. So really cool stuff to just kind of see. I was really curious about this. Did you get the chance to watch any of it?
Just finals.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So just the very end. So I didn't see the whole ramp up to it, but
he's also got a link to the whole VOD. So if anybody did miss it, I thought it was a pretty fun tournament. I really enjoyed DreamHack as just a format. Obviously, we've talked a lot about that in the past, but go check it out. I'm going to go ahead and link this in the show notes for everybody. And now I think it's time to talk about some of these new cards. I'm excited about this. Let's go right into it. Okay. Are you okay? The order was weird that they revealed these, right?
Yeah. So basically what happened yesterday was they had hyped it up. They said, we waited almost 3 weeks from expansion announcement to card reveals. They said July 24th, we're going to get all these cards. It's going to be so great. And then like really, really early, because it was already revealed when I woke up at probably like 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Ticking Abomination. I was like, all right, we're getting going. Like, this is going to be amazing. Yeah, here we go. And then
they said, no more. So the story that I heard was that they had, because they're doing it again through community members, right? People who are streamers, people who write articles, people who I guess do other podcasts than ours. So that's how they're releasing them again. And I think maybe some of it had to do with the fact that there was DreamHack going on and there was other things, and maybe some of these people were at events and weren't necessarily available, and so the scheduling got screwy or something. That's what it felt like anyway.
Yeah, basically the only thing that we know is that there was a blue post saying, yep, there were a multitude of problems with our card reveals today with different partners, and so sorry it didn't happen. And that post, I think, went up probably like 11 p.m. Eastern or something. Like, it was really late in the day. It was just total radio silence otherwise. And even then, even with that, 2 or 3 sentence blue post, it just feels kind of weird. And I feel like it really highlights exactly what the community's problem is with communication from Team 5. Like, it takes too long, and when it does come, it doesn't actually tell us anything. Yeah,
sometimes it's just kind of like, well, things happened in the background that you guys don't know about, and it's okay. Either way, we've got some cards now. So thankfully our show didn't come out yesterday because we would have had nothing.
We've just been crickets.
Yeah. So by today, we've got 6, and apparently there's another one that just dropped 15 minutes ago or so. So we've got 7. So let's talk about Ticking Abomination, which was the first one they revealed. It is a neutral minion. It's a rare. 4 mana, 5/6 with a death rattle, deal 5 damage to your minions. What the hell is up with this card?
Yours.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know. The Silence Priest, maybe? Like, you play it and then you silence it?
Is a 4 mana, 5/6 good enough for that, though? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Hold on. Somehow we're calling somebody again. Stop, Skype. Stop being a weirdo. All right. So yeah, I saw people talking about egg druid, and I don't think so. Like, killing your own eggs could be good here. I see what the idea is. They're trying to give you an overstated minion with a drawback, right? And we've seen this plenty of times in the past. It's like, it's a normal thing, but there's a 4 mana 5/6 in Warlock that just deals 5 damage to you, right? I can't remember the something demon of whatever. Nobody plays it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't get played.
Nobody plays it. People have tried. Yeah, chat room's gonna tell me in a second, by the way. But yeah, people have tried. It's just like you get a 4 mana 4/5 Pit Lord. Thank you, guys. You get a 4 mana 4/5 with no drawback. So +1/+1 is supposed to somehow be worth dealing 5 to all my minions? I don't think so. And you're right. Like, maybe there's some sort of thing with silence. Maybe there's some sort of thing with, if we get more minions that want to die, that have really big, powerful effects when they die, cool. But we don't have enough of those in the game right now. So this is definitely a wait and see card, but feels pretty bad. Just feels bad.
You know, the other thing is too, we should put this big giant asterisk at all of our card reveal discussions that we don't know what the rest of the cards are going to be. And it would potentially make sense in a Lich King themed expansion that we would want to kill our minions, that our minions would be more powerful if they are dead. So if that's the case, then it's quite possible that having a minion that then kills all of your minions to have them come back in some way that is more powerful, that could be a mechanic in this expansion. So I
can see one of the Death Knight cards having something like that, where it applies a really powerful death rattle to things, and then you want to kill off your own stuff, right? There could be something like that. Absolutely. So until we know everything, this card just feels bad in a vacuum.
Killing your minions might be good, but in just what we know about Hearthstone right now, not so much.
It's surprising, though, that it's only to your minions and not anything to the other side. I don't know. Like, it feels like this is what I like. Like, an Abomination is supposed to just AoE everything, right? That's kind of how it feels. And so this is just a new version that does something kind of totally different. So interesting. We will see where this goes. Let's talk about the Rogue card. This is a 3-mana 2/3 common, and it is the Plague Scientist. It reads, combo, give a friendly minion poisonous.
Seems pretty good.
This card seems really good.
Any kind of, well, just any rogue, really, right? Like, especially if you're doing like Jade shenanigans where you have a whole bunch of little minions that you want to kill off.
So people talked about the Jade Swarmer. The problem there is that you have to combo this card. So you can't play it. You can't play that card on 2 and then this card on 3 and then give your little 1/1 stealth guy poisonous.
Unless you backstab or something.
And that's, or unless you have a coin. But you know what, I see this maybe working out. You can play Stone Tusk Boar or Patches and then throw poison onto a little 1/1 with charge instantly. And so for essentially, like, if you think about it, if you say a 2-mana 2/3 is just like an okay card on its own, then you paid 2 mana for that, and then you paid 1 more mana plus a little 1/1, so 2 mana and a card to kill a minion of any size. So if you think 5 mana Assassinate is a little, too expensive, but okay, like an Arena, this card seems incredibly good. In Constructed, it's obviously going to struggle a little bit to find a spot. But I think just killing stuff is just going to be good enough, right?
Well, yeah, and I've Hachikummo in the chat room's mentioning it right now, and I've seen a couple of other people mention it, is using this in combination with something like Wild Pyromancer or Knife Juggler in order to, use your minions to deal damage, not necessarily with their actual attack value, but with their card effect instead. And then allowing you to like snipe with poison knives the whole other side of the board seems good.
Well, I'll say that here's the problem though. If you Wild Pyro, then you combo this guy to put it poisonous on your Pyro, then you cast a spell. It's gonna kill all of their stuff. It's gonna kill your Pyromancer. It's gonna kill your Plague Scientist, and it's gonna cost 3 cards to do all of that. Yeah. So I hear a lot of people talk about that combination. But I don't think that's really going to be how this really makes its way. The Knife Juggler thing is very interesting. But yeah, people don't ever really end up doing that many cards to clear a board. Because then, look at a class like Mage who just plays a Flame Strike and does the same thing with one card, and it costs 7 mana. But even that card doesn't always see play, right? Or think about Warlock. Just killing everything on the board with Twisting Nether for 8 mana, and even that card only ever saw play as a 1/of in Reno decks. I don't see it really finding play there, but I think a tempo-based kill 1 minion at a time type thing, stay on top of the board just using cards like Backstab, Fan of Knives, and my Dagger, but being able to just kill any large minion and make space for, say, charging minions or Arcane Giants or things like that. I think there's definitely a spot for this card here, because the problem that people had with the Envenom weapon was that you would play it on your weapon, and it was like 5 mana for 2 Assassinates, because you had to play the weapon, then you had to play the card. And yes, you got to kill 2 things, but your opponent just wouldn't put a second big thing down, right? This allows you to instantly kill something and just get a body that's then useful on the next turn for the cold blood purposes, another plague scientist, whatever. I think that's just there's a little more wiggle room as far as its usefulness. So I think this card is just better in how it approaches that same problem.
Yep, I agree. And you mentioned really quickly too, but a lot of people are also talking about how this is good in Arena. So
yeah, it's going to be right now. Rogue is already the king of this, just killing your big stuff. Mm-hmm. This is just going to make it where if you're playing against a Rogue, you just won't be able to drop a Boulder Fist Ogre because you'll just lose the game when they kill it, right? So yeah. Denmark in the chat says a 3-mana River Croc. No, it's a 3-mana River Croc that kills something huge at the same time. That's not a fair comparison at all. I think this card is actually going to be, I don't think it's going to be like a staple in Rogue. I don't think it goes in like Miracle Rogue. But it enables some sort of like a tempo style Rogue to exist. Icebreaker is our next card. Icebreaker is a shaman weapon, 3-mana 1/3, and it reads destroy any frozen minion damaged by this.
Which is really interesting because
weird.
This is not a mage card.
Weird.
So.
Well, yeah, obviously, I mean, a mage weapon would be even weirder, probably.
Yeah.
But so, okay, let's just think about what we can do now as far as freezing and shaman. You have the little 1-mana frost spell that deals 1 damage, right? So you actually do have a freeze, like a class
already
card.
Shaman that and it's a. Wasn't it a basic or like it's been around forever?
Yeah. It's basic, basic or classic. Yeah. So you do have that. You have the new elemental 2/1, right? So there you go. And then you have Frost Elemental, the old school 6-mana 5/5. So there's 3 ways to freeze things currently. That sure as hell ain't enough to enable this to be a good card, right?
But we are in the middle of a Frozen Throne expansion, so it's quite possible that Shaman might be getting 1, if not 2, freeze type.
How many do they need though to make this card good? They probably need.
It depends how good they are, like in and of themselves, right?
Yeah.
If it's something like a Frost Nova type of a thing,
they get an AOE Frost, sure.
Something like that might.
Or how about a Frost Totem that they throw down, and then like at the end of the turn, it freezes like 2 random minions or something like that. You get something like that, which could be interesting. But yeah, so if you think about it, it's like 3.
Something that's like a 2-mana 3/4 totem with overload that maybe like just freezes stuff and attacks. Sounds good.
Oh Jesus! No. But it's like 3 shatters in 1 card for 3 mana. You take damage each time you do it, but that only again if you can actually freeze consistently, turn after turn after turn, without having that be too much of a drawback. So a lot of people are also thinking maybe that the Death Knight Thrall somehow has a freeze effect built into his hero power.
Yeah, if you could somehow become Death Knight Thrall and then freeze a minion or do something like that with your hero power, then Icebreaker all of a sudden becomes way more powerful, right?
Yeah, being able to remove 3 things while you're building your board, that's I think really the key here is if you can be developing while killing off minions, and obviously Shaman do have enough healing to be able to take enough damage, right? To use this weapon to kill 3 actual big minions. If that's the case, this card could be okay. But in a vacuum, it's terrible. So this is a wait and see card. It's a cool idea though. It is weird though to me as well that Blizzard talked a long time ago about how freeze wasn't a very fun effect. And they nerfed it a bunch, like all of the freeze AoEs and mage all got nerfed. Which made sense because it definitely wasn't fun to be able to just never attack. Like I'm playing minions and I just never attack with them. And then all of a sudden they just kill me. If freeze is more of an individual type thing, if it's something that's a little more strategic and when you use it and it's suddenly not just a mage thing, suddenly like Shaman can potentially do it. Maybe it could be a fun effect again, and maybe there's something here. But if we get nothing else and no other freeze effects, which seems very unlikely, this card would just be straight up garbage. It would never be played. So it's a wait and see card.
There's also some kind of interesting language because it says destroy any frozen minion damaged by this. So, like, do you think that you're going to have to swing
Like a
with your
blade
face,
flurry
or
type
like
of thing?
a blade flurry kind of a thing? Like any way to maybe like deal your weapons damage to something, or I don't know. But like, do you think that there's any room for that kind of a thing in Shaman? Which I think is going to totally enrage rogue players if they do.
Yeah, right. If Shaman gets a blade flurry, that actually does stuff.
Like blade flurry, yeah.
I would be surprised about that, but I don't know. Maybe there's some way to chuck your weapon out there. I don't know. That'd be weird. Again, though, it's going to rely on if there's freeze effects that get added to the Shaman class that allow you to be. Like you can't get something that's just like 0 mana freeze a minion like freezing potion, because then you just be like spending a card to kill something anyway, right? And sure, you're spending not very much mana, but yeah, you'd have to be like spending very few resources making this super efficient for it to be very good. And right now those tools aren't there, so I don't think you can pass judgment on this card until you've seen the entire set. This is just one of those cards like there's just no possible way. We've got a legendary card here. So it's a Warlock, 5 mana, 1/6 legendary, Blood Queen Lanethel. It has lifesteal, and it reads, has +1 attack for each card you've discarded this game.
Yes.
Well,
So this is probably the most polarizing card I've seen come out of this set so far in terms of community, because like there are some people who love this card. There's some people who hate this card.
There's people who love this card?
Yeah, there's people who love this card.
The hell is wrong with them? Okay.
And I think it is the power level that it needs to be. And there's
it's a fair card, yeah.
Yeah. And I think so it kind of strengthens the Warlock quest a little bit. The problem is that to make it powerful, you have to discard cards, and it's kind of a mid-rangey kind of a minion. So if you're discarding cards, then you're not getting all the tempo things that you want to necessarily do in a mid-range type deck. So that's a little bit problematic. But I don't think that it could have base stats any more than 1, because then every Warlock would just play it, right? Because
it could have 7 health. I mean, the weird thing to me about it is you could build up all this sweet attack and then play it, and then somebody just kills it. It's never going to have more than 6 health. So
right, that's true.
Yeah, and a 5 mana 6 health minion isn't that crazy. It's like there's 5 mana 7 health minions already out there, and you could discard this card while you're discarding all the other cards, trying to make this all strong. You can, but you can play it, and as you're discarding cards after you play it, it still keeps growing. So it's not a battle cry, right? No, yeah, it works like Cthulhu, where it just continues to grow, whether it's on the board or not, right? It's whether it's in the deck, wherever it is, right? It's growing, sure. But that's only ever to come into play if it doesn't get killed like immediately, right? So.
I know, but I think the fact that I think this is an argument that you make sometimes. The fact that you can kill it doesn't necessarily make it bad. Because if nothing else, it's a target for removal, right? Yeah,
absolutely. But it doesn't. Most of the time in those situations, the card has already done something, and a lot of times, like this is going to not do it. Like it'll be played, then it'll die, and it'll have done 0, right? And that's the problem. Like because most cards you're okay. Like a Ragnaros has already shot something for 8. Ysera's already drawn you a dream card. Tyrion, you kill it, now you get an Ashbringer, or you have to use really, really effective removal on it. There's a lot of things like that they're okay if it gets killed, but here you're talking about a card that doesn't actually do anything the moment it gets played, and then isn't not that hard to kill. So
but then it does work the same way though as like the little beardy flamer McPaladin dude. Where
Wicker Flame Burn Bristle? Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
So if minions are run into it in order to kill it, then you still get that lifesteal effect, right? So you're still going to gain health back.
If they run minions into it, yes, yeah.
Yes.
So
so they're either using a spell and then they don't have removal.
It's also I would say it's like
removal, or you're getting the healing from them killing it off with minions.
Sure. It's closer though to me to something like Allied Armor Smith. But the problem with Allied Armor Smith is it's also taunting, so protecting your face and proccing your quest and building armor, right? Which is armor is better than life because it goes above and beyond your health total. So
it does, but with warriors, armor is kind of their resource as a class, right? Well, life is a warlock's resource. So I think the Ally Armorsmith comparison is actually really good. And you talked about the quest, and this synergizes well with the warlock quest. I don't think quest warlock is going to be a thing in this expansion, but I think they're taking the proper steps to make it so that it could be viable eventually, probably in the third expansion this year. And I think that that's a really good move from them, because it's so easy for Warlock to get so powerful because of their hero power and having the ability to draw cards every turn.
Yeah.
That you really have to be careful with Warlock as a class. So I think these small, fair minions that synergize well together, even though I'm not a huge fan of the whole discard mechanic in general, I think they're taking steps towards making Warlock playable without making it overpowered. And that's good. I don't think it's going to happen this expansion, but I think they're moving in that direction. And I think taking it slowly is the best way to go with this class specifically.
I think, though, like this card, this card is, to me, worse than Icebreaker now. Like Icebreaker would be better if we got no other freeze effects than this card would be if we got no other discard. Like we're going to need some other stuff for this card to ever be playable, right? Like I don't think the Dinomancer guy who summons a minion that you've already discarded is good enough. I think we're going to have to get something that either allows me to discover an already discarded card or something like that. Right now, what happens with Discard Warlock is you empty your hand and then you never really do. The things you're doing aren't powerful enough to make up for what you're doing, right? And then you're spending 2 mana to draw a card to make up for the whatever, so you're just kind of always behind on tempo. And then the benefits you get are never going to be enough to make up for that, right? Like this card isn't going to flip the board per se after you've kind of lost the board doing all this discardy stuff. So we'll see. Again, it's like wait and see. But right now, in a vacuum, this card is just bad. Like I don't look at this card and I see any synergy that really makes this work. So I'm hopeful that there's something out there. The other thing though too is I hope that we don't see Warlock being forced to play the discard style only, right? So there's like zoo discard and then control discard, and those are your two things, but all of it is discard.
Yeah.
I liked the idea that you could zoo or you could Reno or you could whatever, and you could just kind of play. And all those cards
there were a lot of different styles.
Yeah, and they were you would pick and choose cards not based on the fact that they synergize with everything else you played. You picked and choose cards based on how you wanted there was 5 different types of Reno Warlock, right? But when you put in something this specific, discard mechanics, you have to play. Like this card could never be played in anything but a card or a deck that's going to discard at least like 3 or 4 cards by the time you were planning to play it, right? So because a 2/6 for 5 with lifesteal, terrible. But if it's a 4/6 for 5, that's already within the stat line, and then does have a good a positive effect.
And it has a very good effect, yeah. So, yeah.
Although we don't know how good lifesteal is yet. Like it feels good. Feels good to heal. But we're like Healbot, I feel like was a little more reliable than even this. This has to actually hit something, right? So
yeah.
So I don't know.
Or have something hit it.
Yeah. Or have something hit it. Yeah. Well, if it's something hitting it, it's hitting back. So Yeah. All right, let's talk about the next couple cards we got here. We've got Blood Razor, which is a warrior weapon, 4 mana 2/2. That seems bad, but it also has a battle cry and a death rattle, and the battle cry and death rattle are both the same, which is deal 1 damage to all minions. So you're packing 2 whirlwind effects into your 4 mana 2/2 weapon. Yeah. So and 1 card, 2 whirlwind effects. That seems okay. Maybe.
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of comparing this to Deathbite, and I think the reason Deathbite was so powerful is because you could play it on curve, and then you could kill something on curve probably because your opponent's probably going to have 3 or 4 health minions on board. And then the next turn you could kill something again that has 5 health because you have the whirlwind effect happening. So I think the attack of that weapon synergized really well with the whirlwind effect. And I don't know if on curve for 4 mana, this weapon is going to be powerful enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, again, we're going to need to see more whirlwindy type synergies that we haven't seen for a while. Like right now, Warrior is not relying as much on the whirlwind stuff. Now, this does, obviously, you get 2 whirlwinds that go great with Sleep with the Fishes. You can activate your Grom again. You can do all that kind of stuff. But we don't have anything close to what made things like, Patron Warrior so great, which was like the king of whirlwinding all my old stuff. Oftentimes you need to, and then of course with Patron Warrior, we used to be able to charge all of those little bad boys, right? So yeah, the just playing enraged minions and then whirlwinding them generally hasn't been good enough. So you're right that it's
combining it into a weapon is going to change that at all.
Yeah, I mean it does create a little space though if you don't have to play the whirlwind card and you could just play like this weapon. You activate a whirlwind and then decide whether you need to attack or not still. That could be okay. You could also think of it as 2 times where you get 3 damage and then it's terrible, like a 4 mana fiery war axe. But sometimes you're getting a whole bunch of great damage with the whirlwind effect. So this is another one where I'm like, wait and see, because Blood Warriors and all that kind of stuff. And then there wasn't there? What's the card? Sudden Genesis, I think it's called, where you instantly play all of your damaged minions that are on the board. Like you just play another copy of them, right?
Yeah.
So there's stuff in there that we've gotten recently that never really went anywhere, but maybe they just didn't have enough viable death rattle effects. And maybe this gives them enough, right? Also, I mean, I could see something like this in Wild where you have all the whirlwinds in the world. Like you pack them all in there. You got death bites, you got everything. Maybe there's something there at some point too. But we're gonna need to see, I think, also what the Warrior Death Knight is, because maybe there's something in there that deals with enragey stuff.
I know that just in general, the Death Knight heroes are what everybody wants to see, and that's where all the hype is. So we're not going to see them all at once. But I really wish that was like the first 9 cards that we got with the expansion reveal was like, here's what all your heroes are going to look like. And then talk about the cards as they come out after that. Yeah. That would have been so much nicer.
Hachikuma in the chat makes an interesting thing, an interesting statement, which I agree with. At least they're not making Pirate Warrior better, because this card would not be played in Pirate Warrior. So. Okay, cool, fair enough. Trying to bring in tools for other types of warriors, that's I think a good thing. Pirate Warrior is definitely like back as one of the top decks right now. Never, not like it really left. So we got also another legendary card. This is a neutral one, Prince Taldaram. 3 mana 3/3 Battle Cry. If your deck has no 3-cost cards, transform into a 3/3 copy of a minion. Now that could be an opponent's minion, could be one of your minions.
Yep.
So it's like a cheaper faceless manipulator that requires you to build your deck in a weird way.
Yeah, and it doesn't copy it exactly. So
it doesn't give you the stats.
3/3. So it gives you want to take something with a powerful death rattle or a powerful effect like a Malagos or something. Sure.
I saw somebody talking about you can do Blood of the Ancient One. Innervate Prince Taldaram. Same turn, right? You instantly get a 30/30. So in Wild you could play Ragnaros, you can play Sylvanas with it. It's a much more comboable effect than the 5 mana cost of Faceless Manipulator for those specific things. Priest already has a minion that kind of does the same thing with the 2 mana or the 3 mana 2/3 that gives you a 1/1 copy of a minion. But that has to be a friendly minion, so there's a little bit more there. But having to build a deck with no 3-cost cards, that is a pretty big drawback, because I can see Ramp Druid doing it where they don't play the Jade Blossom anymore, and they just play no 3-cost cards at all, and they just skip right past turn 3. They hope to every time, right? So if you Wild Growth, you never play turn 3 anyway. I don't know. It's a weird card. It's a card that I have no idea where it stands as far as being good or bad. There has to be a viable deck with no 3-cost cards in it, or very few anyway. So yeah, I don't know.
I do really like the idea of Reno type cards where you have to build around something in order to get a powerful effect. Obviously this is not heal to full like Reno was, but I like the idea of them introducing and kind of playing around with the idea of building around one very odd, very specific thing, like no 3-cost cards. Like, why not? Hearthstone, what's wrong with 3-cost cards? But apparently they hate them now. So it's really interesting to see them toying around with these ideas of building decks around a very specific card and a very specific mechanic. I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is powerful enough, but it's cool.
I'm guessing we're going to see one more of these, right? Because there's still one more prince.
There's one more prince, yeah.
So.
And so the first prince was the 2-cost one, right? So if you have no 2-cost minions, then you get +1/+1 to everything else in your deck.
Yeah.
So then I imagine that the next prince will probably be something to do with 4-cost cards.
Could be, but we could also get they could go 1 cost, but then they, in the past they have like skipped over things, right? Like Pyros went from 2 to 6 to 10.
Yeah, true.
They could go from like 2 to 3 to 5 or something. I don't know. Well, but yeah, it'll be a similar thing. Like don't put any of this cost in and then do something.
Or also,
is that something powerful enough? I don't know.
Yeah, you could also, as Professor B in the chat room points out, play with Hemet, Jungle Hunter, in your deck, and then get him to get.
You
rid of
have
all
to
the
draw this, and then play Hemet afterward.
And then play Hemet, and yeah.
People are asking if it's random. It's not random. If it would say random if it was random. So it's a copy. You will target the minion you want to copy. Yeah.
Which I believe that's what the reveal said too, right? So I'm sure that if you were revealed, because this reveal came from Hearthstone, so I am 99% sure that they would check with Blizzard before they put their big reveal out to say exactly what it does. But it works basically like Faceless. You get to copy a minion on the board. Yeah.
All right, we got one more card. This was revealed today, I believe. And boom, the Nerubian Unraveler, 6-mana, 5/5. It's an epic, and it's a neutral minion, and it says spells cost 2 more. This card could be really powerful.
Very much like Lotheb.
Lotheb, but persistent, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have a deck that runs a lot of, minions and not a lot of spells, this is a great counter card to decks that try to burn you out, like mages. And Wild, there's like tons of that kind of stuff. So I could see this being paired along with the Lotheb. So yeah, if you're playing, more of a minion-based style, so like a mid-range Paladin or Pirate Warrior or any of these decks that just kind of try to build up a big board, this not only does it protect your face from a bunch of burn, it also protects your minions from maybe a Blizzard or a Flame Strike or whatever, a Dragonfire potion, something like that, right? So I think there's definitely going to be uses for this. It's an interesting card. I like that there's another spell hate card out there because we haven't had one since Lotheb. I guess you could technically say the Burgly Bully was kind of a spell hate card, but not in the same way.
But it didn't, exactly. It didn't kind of stop anything from happening. You just got a bonus card.
You just got a little coin, and then a lot of times you wanted spells because you were going to use it with, Archmage Antonius or something. So it's an interesting card. I think we're going to have to see the decks that it's being used in to see like really where it belongs, because you're also obviously making your own spells cost more. So
yes, this doesn't say your opponents. It just says spells cost 2 more. So it does apply to your hand as well. So that is something to keep in mind. But if you're playing a minion-based deck like Big Druid.
Sure. Yeah. By turn 6, you've played all your spells. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I really do see, though, this to me makes a lot of sense in a mid-range Paladin right now because, what spells are you really even running in that deck anymore? The Spiked Ridge Steed is kind of the only thing. And outside and then Consecrate, but if you got into turn 6 and you have a little board of Murlocs and then you pop this bad boy down, your Murlocs are probably going to be alive for a while. So I could see, and they use a lot of weapons to remove all the stuff and things like that. So I can see this definitely being used in a lot of mid-range minion based kind of tempo-y decks, which I think is very cool. I like this card a lot. I'm glad it's an epic, by the way, because this card would be screwy in Arena. Be very tough to deal with. So I'm glad to maybe not see it as often in Arena. But we shall see with the rest of the cards coming slowly over the weeks. We'll have a lot more information, and we'll be able to revisit some of these cards and know a little bit more about how good they actually are. But that's what we got for now. And next week we'll hopefully have a slew of more cards, and won't have to do a bunch of emails and stuff. But today we are going to do some of those. So let's move into some crazy game stories.
Has the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
Do you want to read the crazy game story, Jocelyn?
Sure, I can do that.
All right.
You can send your crazy game stories into tackpodcast@gmail.com. This one comes to us from Peter. Says, so I was playing at rank 10 using the Evolved Bloodlust Token Shaman against a Miracle Rogue. Try as I might, all of their tempo removal, saps, etc. kept me from getting a solid lead on the board. I think that I finally run them out of resources, and then the Arcane Giant comes down. Next turn, another one. The rogue quickly chews through my things from below, getting me down to 6 health. All I have in hand is White Eyes, Aya, Bloodlust, and 2 devolves, and I'm staring down 2 Arcane Giants and an SI7 agent. I seem to remember that devolve doesn't work on giants, but I can't be sure. At any rate, I have a quest to play Shaman card, so I throw it out. For science, right? The giants are unaffected, but between them, a miracle has happened. Orange flames rise from his coy smile. I realize what has happened and shout at my screen, "The end is coming, Valera!" before slamming the end turn button. Doomsayer activates, the rogue is out of cards, and I make short work of her remaining HP. Never give up, never surrender.
Yeah, the old Doomsayer from Devolve and Evolve. It's
Yep.
it's always the trick, right? Like I sometimes, like a lot of times, it's very small chance that you get one from your own Evolves, right? But there are definitely times when I'm playing the Evolve Shaman that I do not totem for fear of killing my own. Like if I play Doppelgangster first, I'm like, I don't want to take a chance to lose all my sweet new 6-drops. So yeah, I don't play it. But yeah, it's
I think it's like 1 in 84 or something.
It's a small chance, but it's out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
the Doomsayers are out there.
Yeah.
I actually had a game in the DHL where I was getting pummeled, and I was playing the new Elemental Jade Shaman. I was getting pummeled by a Pirate Warrior, and I devolved one of his 3-drop. I think it was the South Sea Captain into a Doomsayer, and that flipped the whole game, like just completely. All of a sudden, I was in the driver's seat. So, yeah, very cool, Peter. Good for you, man. Got a well-earned devolve win there. And that is true. It's a weird thing a lot of people don't still know about, because I guess it just doesn't happen often enough. But if something costs 12 or 25 or 0, you cannot devolve it because there is no minion that costs 11, 24, or -1, right? So it actually has to go down in value.
Can you imagine a -1 cost minion just gave you mana?
So like hexed frogs that are buffed, I've seen people try to devolve them, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute. It just keeps all of its buffs. It doesn't do anything to them. So be aware of that. All right, let's thank our patrons before we move into our emails. Of course, TAC is supported by our epic patrons. You can become a patron by going to patreon.com/TAC. Becoming a TAC patron gives you access to the Skype account for call-in episodes and all sorts of other fun stuff. And of course, makes us making extra content possible, makes making this show every week possible. So thank you guys super much for all of the support. We're going to thank some specific ones. Is this list up to date? Is this current?
It is. I did it today.
All right,
yes.
Sweet. So we've got Evie, Luciano P., that one guy, what's his name again? Shareable Texas. Chris V, Stephen D, and Paul J. Thank you guys. So, and Gabriel down here. There was one more below the fold. Thank you guys so very much for all the support. Again, if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/TAC. And now I think it's time to move into some emails.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
Once again, send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com if you want something read on the show. We actually did burn through the cards and stuff pretty quick, so we should actually have time to finish all these. So let's start with Scott H., who says, hello there, curmudgeonly cockatrices. After watching tons of HCT and DreamHack this month, I've been wondering what sort of new mechanics could make for more interesting gameplay. Something that unsilences a minion and restores it to original characteristics. a spell that pulls a card out from an opponent's deck and either plays it or puts it into your hand. Something that impacts board state, like a 0-attack minion placed on opponent's side and taking up a space. Dot version of a healing totem. Each turn the minion persists. Turn your all their minions take one. Turn your their / all minions take 1 damage. Something that works like taunt, but for spells. Just a few ideas kicking around. What are your thoughts? We've actually talked about a lot of these mechanics in the past. I know specifically we've talked about unsilence a lot. We've gotten that email many times.
Yes.
There's something called in the game Hex. There's something called Revert, which works like this. But Hex also has a weird mechanic that is kind of interesting in that if a card gets buffed and then it gets like put into your graveyard or put into your deck or something like that, it maintains that buff. Whereas in Hearthstone, let's say you bounce a card back into your hand, it actually loses any buff that was on it, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's a little more effective, I think, in a game that uses that mechanic. You can revert all of the cards in an opponent's deck, right, and things like that. Also, they also keep debuffs, right? So you can revert a card that's been debuffed really, really hard and turn into a 0/0. You can revert that back to its natural state. So there is something there. I think early on in the game, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but the game's gone on for so long. There's so many more effects. I wouldn't mind seeing an unsilence. Sure.
I like the idea of at least getting it back to what the card originally was. So, giving it back its death rattle, giving it back its taunt. Like, I don't necessarily mind if I silence something and then it loses a buff card like a Blessing of Kings or something. But I would like to see just something that give it back whatever its original card's text said. So it's like you just played it out of your hand. I'd be totally fine with that.
I think there's also an interesting thing where a lot of people feel like silence is somehow so strong that it's everywhere, but it really isn't.
It's not. It just feels bad when you play something big, you do something cool, and then your opponent's just like, nope.
Yeah, sure. The only real decks currently playing significant amount of silences are the single Spellbreaker you're seeing in Pirate Warriors. And that's a direct response to Spiked Ridge Steed, right? They can't get through two 6 taunts. So they need to do something about it. Otherwise, that matchup is just completely polarizing. So but it's one day maybe, and until they really print a lot of silences, it's not going to be that important to have unsilence, but it's a card that is fine, and it would be maybe fun for some people.
Yeah, I like Kilmarnock's.
Kilmarnock, sure.
Yeah, Kilmarnock's in the chat room is saying Bronze Dragon Rewind effect.
Ooh, there you go.
That would be perfect.
Instead of calling it into unsilence, you call it Rewind. Yeah,
call it Rewind. Yeah, I like it.
That's cool. So then pulling cards out from your opponent's deck, we kind of have that. We have Dirty Rat. I know that they don't really, they've said in the past, they don't like to print that many cards that do something like this because it's a feels bad man thing. Magic has a ton of this. There's all these cards where on turn 1, you look at your opponent's hand and then pull a very important card out of it and make them discard it. This kind of effect is all over the place. It's generally a black mana thing, but it's really important, I think, in Magic because there are so many synergistic combo-based style decks, and there's really no way to stop their combo without being able to do this. Hearthstone, a little less so, but because they don't print as much combo stuff. But the Dirty Rat is a fun card because it's a card you have to play. It's fun for one guy and the other guy hates it. But,
I was gonna say it's fun on one side of the board, maybe.
But it's a card that requires some strategy, like when do I play it, right, and that kind of stuff. So I don't mind the effect, but again, you probably have to be a little careful with it. I always did like the idea of a dot totem. I wish the Searing Totem was a 0/2 that was like a little mini Ragnaros that just dealt 1 damage randomly.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, because the 1/1 is just kind of boring, right? And then Spell Taunt, another idea we've heard a lot about. And I
that's
wouldn't
one
mind
that
that.
I really want.
Spellbender is Spell Taunt to a certain extent,
kind of,
but not quite there. There's tons of mechanics still left to explore in Hearthstone. So I think what's going to happen is as the game goes on, these types of effects are going to start making their way in because there's just going to be, they're going to have to come up with stuff, right? They're going to start running out of things to do.
Yeah, otherwise it's going to get stale. So they're going to have to bring in some kind of crazy effects. And I think all of these, except for probably the one that pulls a card out from the opponent's deck and puts it in your hand or plays it from your side. They probably won't touch that one, but I think the other ones are all really good ideas.
Sure. Yeah, totally. All right, we got another email here. I'm going to let you go ahead and take it because I don't want to read the damn name.
All right, this one comes to us, and I'm going to apologize if I butcher it. Massimiliano.
Wait, I'm going to try it too. Massimiliano.
There you go.
Yeah,
You
I
need to
think I
have
got
the
it.
accent.
I think I got it.
Do you want to try the Italian for angry chicken too? Or
Ciao, galline arrabbiate. I don't know.
there you go. Perfect.
Literally means angry chickens, apparently.
He says, greetings from Italy. I had a dream last night. I love that you're dreaming about Hearthstone, by the way. I love that I'm not the only one. This is good, yeah. It says, what if the Lich King boss of the last adventure gave us a neutral hero card called Arthas, the Lich King, that gives any class the ability to become the Lich King itself with its hero power, or at least discover a new hero power? I hope we see this in the game. What do you think? Do you think instead of 9, we might actually get 10 new heroes with new hero powers, one of them being a neutral Lich King?
I said that I wanted the Lich King card to just be, at least the Arthas card, to be a neutral legendary.
Yes.
But I was assuming a minion, not a 10th hero card, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a nightmare to balance around, because obviously some classes would be able to abuse whatever hero power more than others. Yeah.
But what if his hero power
sounds super cool.
Terrible, or he's super expensive or something, but very much like a Lord Draxus, except for everybody, and instead of Draxus, it's Arthas.
You know what, though? What I don't want Arthas to be is I don't want Arthas to be crappy, and I don't want Arthas to be a joke card, right? I don't want Arthas to be a Major Domo. And you can consider Major Domo as a neutral replace your hero card to a certain extent. So if they can find a way to make him still very cool, this sounds awesome. But if it becomes more of a jokey type card that's a meme deck thing, that's not where I want Arthas to exist. So I want Arthas to be awesome. Yeah.
I agree.
It sucked for so long in Heroes of the Storm when Arthas was just hot garbage. He's much better now, but Garrett hated it too. I mean, we'd be like, yeah, I want to play him. He's awesome, but he sucks. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of the thing. I think, we want him to be good, but it would be super cool if he was a neutral hero card. Probably can't be both.
Yeah.
I'd rather him just be a neutral legendary that everyone gets to play with, that does something cool.
That does something awesome. Yeah, totally. Hey,
I would be totally okay if this expansion's Yogg was Arthas, where just everyone's playing him because he's super pre-nerf, of course.
Sure.
But just because he's super powerful and everyone's playing him, and you just see Lich Kings left, right, and center, I'd be okay with that.
I definitely want Lich King to not just be the boss and to also be part of a lot of games. Yeah, for sure. He's such a important character in Warcraft lore, and everybody loves the guy. Well, loves to hate the guy. Biggest heel in Hearthstone. So hopefully that's the case. We shall see. We got another one here from Jim. This is a quite a long one here. I'll try to speed through it. Hello, hardworking hens. I enjoyed the IGN article that Garrett and Joss were featured in. The question about what new feature you would like to see really was heavily answered as tournament mode. That's great for those who have time to do that, such as many of the people who were polled for the article. But a large group of Hearthstone players are too busy to play a tournament and only have time for a game or two at a time. I think it would be a better addition would be a rating system. I think the thing I like least about the game is the children or immature adults who BM, rope, spam emote, etc. Squelching only does so much when someone's net deck starts losing to your homebrew. They rope you every turn and eventually just leave halfway through the game to go pout. I know that some PlayStation and Xbox games have an online matchmaking system based on rating. After each match, you thumbs up or down your opponent. I think Hearthstone should implement something like this to create a better environment for players and make the trolls think twice about playing all their unnecessary cards out before lethal. One problem may be queue times. This may cause a drop, but hopefully not too drastic. Also, there may be the occasional game where someone wrecks their opponent with Pirate Warrior and gets voted down just on principle. But I think that over hundreds of games, the occasional downvote wouldn't affect your rating. So there is something similar to this in Gwent. And I don't know how much you've played Gwent, Joss, but it's
not too much in the most recent builds and stuff.
So the way it kind of works is you both say GG or not GG, and if you both say
yeah,
GG,
I remember that now. Yeah, then there's a bonus that goes to both players.
you both
if
get a little
yeah.
extra dust, which is it's not dust, it's like some sort of it's dust. So the problem that I have with this type of thing is it doesn't actually fix some of the stuff you're talking about. So and then it also has the chance to just get abused, right? Like there are people who just troll down about everybody. And it's not a team game, so it doesn't affect you as much as having something like getting silenced in Heroes of Storm, right? Which, people get reported. I would like to see a better report functionality though, because there are definitely times when I wanted to report. So like I've had times where I played the same guy twice in a row, and they went all the way to the rope every single turn, but it was never because they were away. They always clicked end turn right as the rope was at the very end of the turn, and you could say, okay, they're well within their right to use up their full time every turn if they want to. They could be thinking through stuff. But after a couple of games in a row, it was very clear it was just griefing, right? So I'd like the ability to at least report somebody, and if they get a ton of reports on that guy doing that exact same thing, then he could get like an account suspension or something like that. Counter queuing, that kind of stuff. Like there's things that people do that is a little bit shady in Hearthstone. An auto squelch feature would take away a lot of this stuff, though, because it is annoying to have to go click it every time, but
but the thing about auto squelching is it doesn't take away some of that, like you're talking about, that griefing of that just every single turn roping, and like just not being a good sport about it, because I've had it happen to me too. I had it happen to me today where it's just like someone's just sitting there and they've played out their turn and they're just sitting there. Like you can see them moving their cards. They've got no mana left. It's like, it's literally turn 2. Like, there's no reason to just be sitting there, but they just sit there and they rope every single turn the whole way along. And you're just like, why are you doing this? Like, are you trying to just get me to concede? Because that's what it feels like.
I think there's some people who do it for that.
Get rid of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But then there's also the problem of, like, you might report somebody because they played out all their cards before they killed you. They were just trying to finish a quest. You might report somebody. It gets a little tricky. It does get a little tricky.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's why, like, so something like a voting system could potentially help with that, because then like after you get a certain number of votes, whether it's 50 or 100 or whatever, then you drop down to the next pool or go up to the next pool, or however they deal with it.
Well, the only real thing I could see is that they just try to queue griefers into griefers, right? But then you're kind of messing with the whole ladder system as a whole anyway. Like the MMR gets a little screwy where you're separating people not just based on their stars and stuff. Suddenly you're doing other things. So, it can be funky. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, just the implementation has to be right for Hearthstone. You can't say that it worked in another game and so that exact model is going to transfer like 1-to-1 over to Hearthstone, right?
Not. Yeah.
So I'm definitely not like putting the idea away as like this will never happen or anything like that, but you got to be careful with stuff like this. You have to implement it properly. And I don't know how it works out and how it's really working out in Gwent. I basically just thumbs up almost I don't think I've ever not thumbs up somebody in Gwent. So
yeah, I always did the same thing. I was always like, "Yep, GG."
Yeah, like I'll take my dust, please. But and something like that, so you got to offer a proper reward too, right?
Well, exactly. But then it's like, if everyone is just thumbsing up everyone regardless of how they play, then that system isn't really helpful either, right? Because then you feel like if you downvote somebody for legitimate bad behavior, then you don't get your reward. And so you're penalized for already having a terrible experience.
Sure.
So that's not a great system either. And I do think that there would be a lot of people who would downvote people because of the deck they're playing, which is a point that I think Jim made at the end of his email, talking about saying, pirate warriors would get downvoted just on principle. I think that absolutely would happen. That would happen a lot. Yeah. And then when you're thinking of people downvoting people based on their deck choice, then you have to think about, well, would this potentially have impacts on the meta? If you're talking about creating ladders made of people with really low ratings, then is it just like that's a way to kick Pirate Warrior out of the meta?
Yeah, it absolutely would do that.
We really want to do, right? Like, I don't think that's something we want. So
yeah, the meta should be based around power level.
But yeah, the meta should be based around power level. Exactly.
That's definitely interesting. That's where things get a little bit tricky and tough. So I don't know. It's I get it. Griefers suck. Yeah.
But I don't know if a voting system is necessarily the way to go. But I mean, like, we're not talking about a game that has any kind of chat. I mean, you can squelch so they can't emote, and yeah, they can take their whole turn every time, and that's annoying, but it's not everybody. Like, I get so many more negative gameplay experiences in other games like Overwatch and Heroes versus the negativity I get in Hearthstone, which is like, a guy took, 15 minutes to play out a game instead of, 5 minutes that it should have been because he roped every turn. It's like, well, in the end, it just took a little bit more time, and he wasted his own time too. So
he did. It's more annoying. But the roping every turn. The reason why it is griefing is for the reason that Jim brought up, which is that you're like, some people are only playing on like a lunch break or a coffee break or whatever. They don't necessarily have time for a 20-minute game to watch the guy rope every turn. I think a better way to deal with that problem is something more like where if you've roped a few turns in a row, you don't get the same amount of time, right? Because generally in a real game of Hearthstone, you shouldn't have to rope every turn. Or the rope kind of builds up in how much time you get on turn 1 is less than how much time you get on turn 10, right?
Yeah.
So a minute and a half is way more time than you need to. And I get it, we all watch the pros play. They're thinking through the next 5-6 turns. They're trying to use all their time. Makes sense on that level, but they could still do it with a minute that then kind of ramped its way up. So, it's a thing. It is a thing, and it is griefing. There's reasons why it is, but.
Well, and it is true too that you never know what they're doing, but the experiences that I've had with people roping every turn isn't that they're just sitting there and roping every turn. They're sitting there roping every turn and emoting at me, and then I squelch them, and I can still see them hovering,
or
like I know
aiming
exactly
things
what they're doing.
over your face, or sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's ways to tell when people are actually just roping for the sake of roping and trying to waste your time and trying to get you to concede and being a jerk. And then there's other times where it's like, yeah, legitimately this person has stepped away or, whatever else. But it's the combinations of behavior that shows you their intentions.
Yep. All right, we got one more from Mike Y, who says, "Howdy Cluckers, your discussion on Arena last week got me thinking about new ways to integrate new expansions into Arena. My suggestion is this. The first 5 or so card selections are guaranteed to be from the most recent expansion. Landed on 5 because of the number of cards in a pack. The rest of the picks would then have a normal appearance rate. This would make sure that the new cards have an impact on the meta while allowing some level of continuity. What are your thoughts? Love the show." I mean, essentially, you're kind of getting this same effect just by upping the offering rates. But, that's fine. I wouldn't even mind that. But again, I don't want them to mess too hard with what the classic Arena is. I want them to just add new options. So it'd be kind of cool if you got, like, recently I did for Dill's Hearthstone League players and stuff. We did this special Medivh Old Gods tournament, right? Where you could only build cards. It was great. I won, by the way.
It was great. I won.
Yeah, I lost the first round, and then I had to fight my way through the lower round and rematch against the guy who beat me in round 1. So that was rough. And then I had to beat, which was Enthrallum, and then I had to beat the winner of the upper bracket twice in a row. So it was tough, but it was really a lot of fun. It was really cool, though, just the deck building process. So I wouldn't mind seeing something where, similar to what we get with the sealed tool, the TempoStorm.com sealed tool, you could do like an Arena-style limited format where you get the first 5 cards are from this set, then the next 5 cards are from this set, and then you get 5 cards from, and then you just kind of rotate through. There could be lots of cool ways to kind of handle multiple limited formats. I like the way they handle it kind of now, where every selection could be from anywhere. It would get a little funky when you got 3 cards that all have to come from the same expansion. How many possible selections are there? And they get a little bit limited. But I could see adding more ways to do limited, and that could be one of them.
Mm-hmm. I think that what he's suggesting is making sure that the first 5 cards come from the new expansion to give them an impact for sure. I think the reason why he wants it done that way is for continuity. So, every single class is going to get 5 cards from that expansion.
Well, at least they'll still have to be in the other selections. So
that's
it's
true.
really just up. It's what you're really talking about, though. In the end, what it ends up doing is it just ups the offering rate a little more than it already does. And I actually don't really want that, to be honest. I think they had it too high when it was like 200%. Because then new cards, okay, the problem with it too is a card like Firelands Portal, right? When Firelands Portal was introduced and it was being offered at like a 200% rate, it changed the meta into the Firelands Portal meta, right?
Yeah.
And it limits design space just a little bit, where like whenever they put out new cards, they have to think, okay, are any of these cards seriously broken in Arena, and would they just make Arena unfun because of the fact that that card's going to be everywhere, right? So that's the thing that's a little concerning about something like that. But if it was something that you knew you were getting into, and that's what you chose, that's why I would like other options, right? Like I click limited, and then I can decide which type of thing I want to do. But I guess the argument there too is that it might create long queue times to have the player base split up so much. But I don't know. I don't mind waiting an extra minute.
Even then, I don't think it would be that long, man. Queues in Hearthstone are not that long. Like,
even at high legend and wild, like you still don't wait that long. And while you do get counter queued because you queue into the same guys a lot because there's just less guys, but it's still enough that the queues don't take forever. So I've never actually had a queue take more than a minute, and that was crazy.
And I don't play high legend wild. I don't think I've ever had a queue last longer than probably about 10 seconds.
Sure.
Most of the time, if I just keep hitting the play button and then go, oh, damn it, I have to pee. I can't click cancel.
Yeah, you can't cancel because it already popped. Yeah. Sure.
Exactly.
All right. So anyway, that's going to do it for episode 220 of The Angry Chicken. Garrett was not here, but me and Jocelyn had plenty to talk about, so we actually did hit our full hour-and-a-half show. Thank you guys all for being here. Again, thank you to the patrons. Patreon.com/TAC is the way to become a patron. And then we also have some Canadian iTunes thanks. Are these are 5-star iTunes reviews?
Yeah, I realized we hadn't thanked Canada in a while. So you know what, guys?
We haven't thanked anybody in a while.
So they're Canadian.
Yeah. All right, what do we got?
LaRouche HT, we've got Tidy16, we've got Cruiser, and we've got Jagerheims?
Jagerheims, yeah.
Jagerheims, yeah.
So thank you guys Canadian land, that's not like Jagger times, it's like Jagger times, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So thank you guys so much for your 5-star reviews over in the Canadians iTunes store.
And please feel free, if you like the show and you haven't left us a review in the past, go over to iTunes, give us 5-star reviews, really help us move up the iTunes rankings, so it helps new people find the show. And we did this a lot early on. We haven't really been doing it much lately, but it still helps a lot. So if you can't become a patron or support that way, this is another way you can actually support the show. The Angry Chicken can be found at amove.tv and youtube.com/amovetv. Thanks again to our patron producers, Declan H., Peter Williams, Michael N., Sean C., and Johnny S. Is that 5 names?
That is.
What the hell is going on around here? Thank you guys so very much. You guys make this show possible, and we really, really appreciate it. You can also find TAC coffee mugs and glasses over at bit.ly/amove store, and a t-shirt that is for sale. Is that still there? Is that the same? Is that the right thing? I feel like that's not the right thing anymore.
It's shirts.amove.tv, I think.
Shirts.amove.tv? All right, I believe you.
Shirts.amove.tv.
I think this link is old right here. Done. Yeah. You can also follow us on Twitter. We are collectively at TAG Podcast, Facebook.com/AMoveTV, and there is a subreddit, tagpodcast.reddit.com. Catch the live show every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV, although today we're on my channel, but same thing kind of. And of course, you can also you can catch the show on mobile devices, alphageekmedia.com. And Brian GriffithMusic.com is the guy who made our intro music, so thank him. And let's talk about what else we're doing. Jocelyn, what's going on with you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. I also do the Gamers In over on twitch.tv/AMoveTV every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I do a show called Slaying Demons on Tuesday nights every other week. You can find that, again, over on my Twitch channel. And when we're not slaying demons, then we are playing some heroes. So tonight we're going to be streaming some heroes at 9 p.m. Eastern. So come check it out.
Awesome. You can find me. I am at Willie Dills on Twitter. My stream is twitch.tv/WillieDills. You can also check out The Instance and, of course, the 1-900 Wrestling podcast. We recently had a whole bunch of fun because Jury was here in Austin, Texas, and we went to the Wrestle Circus show, which is a big indie promotion here. Super fun. So the latest episode there, we talk a lot about that. So check that out if you're a fan of wrestling. Garrett can be found on Twitter at GarrettArt. NoMoonArt.com is where you can find his design portfolio, and if you want to hire him to do any work, that's where you'd go. Into the Nexus is Heroes of the Storm podcast, and he also has the Angry Nerd at amove.tv/Angry Nerd. So that's going to do it. Anything else, Jocelyn?
I think that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see you next week. Until then, job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!